morning. Nice to see you here this morning. Good morning to Michael and to Neva. And let's see who else we have here this morning. We have Vicky and Yoshi, Josephina. Oh my God, a whole bunch at school here. Henry, Lulu, Liam, Ethan, James, Owen, and Julian. Wow, that must be a record from school. Fantastic. And let's see who else we have. Felix is here. Vera is here. And Lily is here also. Wow, we've got a room full today. Oh, and Baylul. Just managed to see you popped on the bottom there. So wonderful. That's great. We got a bunch of participants for our music today. And I was playing the piano, if you caught that when you first joined. And I was playing a piece of music by Mozart. So we're going to be learning a little bit more about that in a little while. And then we'll talk about that some more. But before we carry on, I'm just going to pull out our song that we were learning. And I posted the words on the Facebook page and also on the Class Dojo page, if that's easier for you and your parents to find. And we learned the Lollipop Tree song, and it had a very, very easy chorus to sing along to. So what we're going to do is try that. And like I said, but on Monday, it's a story song. So the verses tell a story. So if you are not familiar with all the words for the story part in the verses, you can sing along when we get to the verse. And let's just try with the chorus. So when we get to the chorus part, this is what the chorus goes like. It's ha, 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 ho, 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 what a place to be. Under my lollipop, 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 lolly, lolly, lollipop tree. Pretty easy, hey? So let's see how it goes when we add the tune to it. Ha, 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 ho, 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 what a place to be. Under my lollipop, 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 lolly, lolly, lollipop tree. Okay, let's try that again. Are you ready? Ha, 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 ho, 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 what a place to be. Under my lollipop, 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 lolly, lolly, lollipop tree. Okay, so that's the chorus part. So if you don't know the verses, or you're still kind of trying to sing along to those, if you have the words, then you can do that. But then when we get to the chorus, we all know that part. So let's try. Okay, so it starts off with the lollipop being planted. So let's see what happens. One fine day in early spring, I played a funny trick. Out in the yard behind my house, I planted a lollipop stick. And every day I watered it well and watched it carefully. I hoped one day that stick would grow to be a lollipop tree. Oh, ha, 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 ho, 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 what a place to be. Under my lollipop, 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 lolly, lolly, lollipop tree. Then one day I woke to find a very lovely sight. A trio full of lollipops had grown in the dead of night. I sat beneath that wonderful tree and looked up with a grin. And when I opened my mouth, a lollipop dropped right in. Oh, ha, 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 ho, 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 what a place to be. Under my lollipop, 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 lolly, lolly, lollipop tree. Winter came and days grew old, as winter days will do. And on my lovely tree there was not one little lollipop grew. From every branch an icicle hung, the limbs were bare as bones. But when I broke those icicles off, Under my lollipop, 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 lolly, lolly, lollipop tree. Oh, ha, 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 ho, 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 what a place to be. Under my lollipop, 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 lolly, lolly, lollipop tree. Under my lollipop, 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 lolly, lolly, lollipop tree. Okay, so I hope you were able to sing along with that one. That's kind of a fun song. And the person that wrote that song must have had an amazing imagination and really knew what kids would like. So I am going to take a quick peek and see if we need to say to everybody else, say hello to anyone else this morning. Maddie, good morning, Maddie. And Liam, hi, Liam, and Catherine. Wonderful. Oh, and Felix recognized the piece of music that I played, Minuet in F major. I figured somebody might notice that one. Well done, Felix. And we have Allegra is here today, which is wonderful. And let's see, I think that's everybody. Yes, it is. Oh, and Winston, wonderful. Winston managed to join us today. Fantastic. Hi, Winston. So today I was talking about earlier on, because I played a piece of music at the beginning that Felix recognized by Mozart, and it's called the Minuet in F major. And a minuet is a dance that used to be very, very popular back in the 17th and 1800s. And a minuet was a piece of music which had 3 beats in it, and it's kind of like an old version of a waltz, if you can think of a waltz, if people still do that type of dancing today, ballroom dancing. But back in the 16, 17, 1800s, the minuet was a really big popular dance that people did, and it was their version of ballroom dancing back there. I'll just play this little part of it again so you can hear, and then we'll talk a little bit about Mozart. So here was what I played in case you missed it. So you could just imagine the ladies with the big skirts that were puffed out dancing, and they all used to wear the wigs in those days too, the white wigs. The men and the ladies wore the wigs. That was their way of looking nice and smart. Today we might go out and get a nice haircut. Back then they would wear the really cool white wigs. So that would be the scenario we'd be looking at when a piece of music just like that was played. And I actually am a really big admirer of Mozart, and I have one of these, and one of these little statues of Mozart, and he sits on my piano for inspiration, and just to remind me of what a musical genius that he was, and it's nice to have something like that sitting on my piano. So I am going to now tell you a little bit more about Mozart. And like I mentioned, Mozart was a musical genius. He was born in Austria in a place called Salzburg in 1756. So a long, long time ago. And his dad played the violin, and he also was a composer. And Mozart, and his first name was Wolfgang, and his middle name was Amadeus, and there was a bunch of other names in there, but the most famous ones are Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart. And he was 5 years old when he composed his very first piece of music. That's amazing. 5 years old. And he actually had his first piece of music published, which means that it was printed so that people could buy it and play it for themselves when he was 7 years old. So he was very busy at a very young age. And when he was 6, his dad took him all over Europe with him and his sister because he was such a good pianist and a good violinist that he went on a big tour all over Europe, and he played for kings and queens and princes and princesses. So he became very, very, very famous. And he actually wrote a piece of music based on this piece of music. Who thinks they know what this one is? And he actually made it into a bunch of different variations. Let's see who recognized that piece of music. I'm pretty sure you all did. Okay, so that was, he wrote a piece of music based on Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star, and it became quite famous. So I am going to let us listen to a bunch of other famous pieces of music that Mozart wrote. And on Friday, I'm going to be telling you a story about one of the famous pieces of music that he wrote. But I'll give you a little sneak peek on what those pieces of music will be. First of all, I'm going to move over to my cello because my cello is a great instrument to play Mozart's music, because he wrote a lot of music for string instruments like this, as well as piano, and also symphonies, which are full of string instruments and wind instruments and brass instruments. And I think that you guys will probably remember this one most of all, and it goes like this, and see if we'll talk about the name of it in a moment. Okay, so that piece of music was meant to be played with a small string orchestra, or if they didn't have a string orchestra, at least a string quartet. And a quartet would have 4 players. It would have 2 violins, a viola, and a cello playing. And so that's why I chose to play that on cello, because I think that that's a great instrument to play that piece of music on. So, and that piece of music was called the Eine kleine Nachtmusik, and it was a piece from that little suite. And Eine kleine means a little bit, and then Nachtmusik is night music. So a little bit of night music. So that's what that one is. Now, I wonder if any of you guys know the story of the Magic Flute. I know that in class we've listened to some of the pieces of music from the Magic Flute, and we also watched the story about the Magic Flute, and it told us all about the story behind the opera of the Magic Flute, and it also included some of the songs as well, which were really super interesting. Now, remembering that an opera is like a play, except people don't speak, they sing instead. So this is the overture to the Magic Flute. And an overture is the piece of music that they play before the play, or in this case, the opera, begins. And this might be familiar to you. So you may remember that. I think when we watched our story at school, that was the music that played at the very, very beginning before the whole story started. So that was one of his famous pieces of music that he wrote, was the overture before the Magic Flute opera began. And then the other one was the song that Papageno sings. Now, Papageno was the birdman that used to catch all of the birds for the Queen of the Night. And again, I'm going to tell you the whole story of this on Friday, but this is just a little sneak peek of some of the songs that are in it. So this was the Papageno song. So you may have possibly have heard that piece of music before, or that tune. And one of the most famous parts of the Magic Flute is the part where the Queen of the Night appears, and she sings so high because she is very upset. And she sings so high that actually opera singers have to train for a very long time to be able to sing that high. And I'm not even going to try to sing that high because I'm not a trained opera singer. And it definitely would not sound very good if I tried to sing that high. But I'm just going to play you a little bit of the tune on the piano, and then you'll be able to hear how high that is. So she starts off and she's singing no words at all in the middle part, and she's singing to an ah sound, and it goes like this. So if you could imagine singing up here, that's a high C. You could even see if you can try and sing that high. And then the very highest note is another 4 notes higher than that, and it's called an high F, and it's this one. So she goes. So anybody singing the Queen of the Night's part in the Magic Flute would have to practice very, very hard to make sure that they were able to reach all those high notes. So we're going to learn a little bit more about Mozart on Friday, but I just wanted to give us a little bit of information today so that we could kind of get started. And anybody that's interested can also go onto YouTube and look up the Queen of the Night and see a real opera singer singing those notes that I just played. All right, so I'm going to bring out the guitar so that we can do a little bit more singing. And we already did our Lollipop tree, and I also have our Rig-a-Jig-Jig song for the end, and some people came up with some wonderful verses for that. So I'm looking forward to singing the Rig-a-Jig-Jig song in a few minutes, and we'll add some of your guys' verses in there that you came up with. Some people were quite creative, so that's awesome. So I wonder if you remember, before we get to that song, the Do Your Ears Hang Low song. Do you remember that one? It was pretty funny words for our song, and then we sing it slow, then medium, and then fast. And we're trying to see if we could still make sure we're singing all the right words when we get there, or if you're going to get tongue-tied and twisted. Okay, so let's give that a try. We'll do it the regular way first, just to remind you of the song. Do your ears hang low? Yeah, let's try that again. I already got tongue twisted and I didn't even get through three words. Do your ears hang low? Do they wobble to and fro? Can you tie them in a knot? Can you tie them in a bow? Can you throw them over your shoulder like a continental soldier? Do your ears hang low? Okay, let's try it again at that speed. Maybe you guys can help me out here. Ready? Do your ears hang low? Do they wobble to and fro? Can you tie them in a knot? Can you tie them in a bow? Can you throw them over your shoulder like a continental soldier? Do your ears hang low? Okay, good. Now we're going to speed it up. 1, 2, 3. Do your ears hang low? Do they wobble to and fro? Can you tie them in a knot? Can you tie them in a bow? Can you throw them over your shoulder like a continental soldier? Do your ears hang low? How do you get on with that time? Did you manage to keep up? Okay, we're going to do it one more time at that speed, and then we're going to try even faster. Ready? Do your ears hang low? Do they wobble to and fro? Can you tie them in a knot? Can you tie them in a bow? Can you throw them over your shoulder like a continental soldier? Do your ears hang low? Okay, now you must be getting good at that. Then we're going to go even quicker. Do your ears hang low? Do your ears hang low? Do they wobble to and fro? Can you tie them in a knot? Can you tie them in a bow? Can you throw them over your shoulder like a continental soldier? Do your ears hang low? Do your ears hang low? Do they wobble to and fro? Can you tie them in a knot? Can you tie them in a bow? Do you throw them over your shoulder like a continental soldier? Do your ears hang low? Wow, that was fast towards the end there. I was almost getting all my words mixed up. So I hope you guys did better than me with that one. Awesome. So I'm just going to see how well we're doing. And Allegra noticed that I was playing the cello, which is awesome. Oh, and somebody was wondering if I was going to be playing Hall of the Lion King. That would be an interesting song to play. I wonder if that person was thinking of Hall of the Mountain King, maybe. Okay, and somebody said their dog's ears hang low. Awesome. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to do the Rig-a-Jig-Jig song. And like I say, we had some awesome ideas from you guys. And I said that if you had some ideas, you could type them in the comments. Well, I checked after our last class, and then I checked again today just to make sure I didn't miss anyone. And I had 4 verses that people came up with, which are awesome. And I'm going to shout them out and see who did them as we go along. So it goes, as I was walking down the street, down the street, down the street, a leaping llama I chanced to meet. Hi-ho, hi-ho, hi-ho. Now then, every time we have the rig-a-jig-jig part, you get to sing along. A rig-a-jig-jig and away we go, away we go, away we go. A rig-a-jig-jig and away we go. Hi-ho, hi-ho, hi-ho. Okay, let's do another one. As I was walking down the street, down the street, down the street, a dancing dog I chanced to meet. Hi-ho, hi-ho, hi-ho. A rig-a-jig-jig and away we go, away we go, away we go. A rig-a-jig-jig and away we go. Hi-ho, hi-ho, hi-ho. Okay, I'm looking at my list here, but I'm not ready to shout these ones out yet. So let's try another one. As I was walking down the street, down the street, down the street, a prancing pig I chanced to meet. Hi-ho, hi-ho, hi-ho. A rig-a-jig-jig and away we go, away we go, away we go. A rig-a-jig-jig and away we go. Hi-ho, hi-ho, hi-ho. Okay, so remember the rule for what we're singing is that the action or the description has to start with the same letter as the first letter of the animal. So we did leaping llama, prancing pig, dancing dog. Okay, now we're going to do our first one. Stephen came up with a red rabbit. Let's sing Stephen's verse. Are you ready? As I was walking down the street, down the street, down the street, a red rabbit I chanced to meet. Hi-ho, hi-ho, hi-ho. A rig-a-jig-jig and away we go, away we go, away we go. A rig-a-jig-jig and away we go. Hi-ho, hi-ho, hi-ho. Nice one, Stephen. Okay, and then Catherine came up with a kind kangaroo. Wonderful. Okay, here we go. As I was walking down the street, down the street, down the street, a kind kangaroo I chanced to meet. Hi-ho, hi-ho, hi-ho. A rig-a-jig-jig and away we go, away we go, away we go. A rig-a-jig-jig and away we go. Hi-ho, hi-ho, hi-ho. Okay, there's more verses. Stephen came up with another one, a super snake. As I was walking down the street, down the street, down had one more working really hard. This is Catherine's second one. She came up with a drinking dolphin. Okay, there we go. As I was walking down the street, down the street, down the street, a drinking dolphin I chanced to meet. Hi-ho, 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 a rig-a-jig-jig and away we go, away we go, away we go, a rig-a-jig-jig and away we go. Hi-ho, 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 a rig-a-jig-jig and away we go, away we go, away we go, a rig-a-jig-jig and away we go. Hi-ho, hi-ho, hi-ho. Okay, so that was a lot of fun. It was so much fun having some different verses that you guys came up with to add to our song today. And as we're having so much fun with that, if you can think of anything that you think would work really well with our song, the action and the first letter of the name being the same, then we will add that into our song. Just to recap what we had Red Rabbit, Kind Kangaroo, Super Snake, and a Drinking Dolphin. I wonder if he was drinking milkshakes. Who knows? But yeah, that's your imagination, and that's a great way to add stuff into our songs, is with your awesome imagination. So if you have any ideas, then drop them in the comments, and then we'll see if we can add them into our song on Friday. And like you say, on Friday, we're going to find out more about the story of the Magic Flute and actually what happens in that story. It's a very cool story. So we will look forward to seeing you all again on Friday. Hope you get a chance to get outside and enjoy this beautiful weather. And we look forward to seeing you very soon. Bye for now.